This is the new 5th generation Kia Sportage. Now they say that when you first see a car, it takes about 5 to 10 seconds for you to decide in your head whether or not you like it or not. And I have to say, this car at a first glance is absolutely stunning. Now, of course, nothing against the previous generation of the Sportage, that is, but it's just something about this car. Everything from the sort of boomerang style LED headlights here to this tiger nose front grille. It's just quite stunning. Anyways, we'll get into all of that. We'll see how it is in the ins and outs. We'll take it for a quick drive around London as well and see how it is. But before we do any of that, be sure you subscribe if you're new around here, because we post new weekly content. Now, a few weeks back, we did a quick walk around of this new car. So if you're interested in that, be sure to click the top right of the banner right there on your screen right now as well. Now, what's new with this new 5th generation Sportage? Well, of course, from the front here, we see this new lovely tiger nose style front grille here, finished in this lovely gloss black as well. We, of course, have the nice new Kia branding there as well. And on this particular model here, the GT line badge there as well. And of course, if you sort of come around to the side, you see these boomerang style, as they call them, LED lights. And of course, the headlights there, which are sort of blended into the whole angles of the car, as if the car wasn't striking enough already. The way the headlights sort of arch around there to the side is really nice as well. Then of course, obviously, if you have a nice blue color like this car is finished in, the pieces on the bottom there with the black and of course a bit of the chrome helps sort of break it up a bit as well. And all of that really adds up to make this car pop when you see it. You know, when you see this car in a line of cars, it really stands out as it should. And that's no surprise, because of course there is a lot of competition out there for a car like this. With this car then, you get 5 trims to pick from: the Sportage 2, the Sportage GT line, Sportage 3, Sportage 4, and then of course what we have here today, the Sportage GT line S. The models here now start from around £26,745 with the lowest entry trim model. So when it comes to the side of the vehicle, of course you get the blacked out mirrors there, the blacked out roof with of course the blacked out rails as well. When it comes to the wheels, you get 19-inch wheels with the black bits on them with the sort of diamond cut styling as well. And of course you'll notice this new Sportage is a little bit longer and wider than previous models as well. Apart from that, of course, you then get this black piece down here, which again, if you go for a nice bright color like this blue finish we have on the Sportage here, it just breaks the car up a bit, and in my opinion sort of makes the car seem a bit more planted and gives it a bit more sportier kind of look to it. Overall, a very, very nice improvement. Now then, onto the rear of the car. Of course, it's still very much sort of Sportage-esque, but it's sort of been upgraded. Now, you see these sort of rear headlights here, which follow as they do at the front when they sort of blend into the side and follow the angles of the car, which is very nice. Of course, you have the black and chrome pieces down here, which again, like the sides, sort of break up the car if you have a nice color which stands out, like this lovely blue finish we have here. Of course, then you don't get the whole rear light at the back like you do on the likes of the Kia EV6, for example, the fully electric model from Kia, but it's still looking very nice and smart indeed. Of course, the badges on either side there with the new Kia branding in the middle. If we go ahead then and just open the boot, of course an electric, fully electric tailgate that is. The boot has about 591 litres of storage, which is nearly 100 litres up from the previous model of the Sportage. And that also comes with this sort of movable underfloor storage there. Of course, plenty of space back here, which makes it one of the most practical SUVs on the market today. You can also go ahead and drop the rear seats just like that with latches on the side, which is very handy. You get some bits here so you can hang your shopping if you like to as well. And then of course the rear parcel shelf can be moved like so. You don't need to faff around taking it out and putting it somewhere in your house or even storing it in the car itself. It is easily retractable like that. Now moving on to the inside then, of course you get the updated interior like you do in the likes of the Kia EV6. You get the two 12.3-inch screens there, which are joined together, one for the digital driver's display and of course one being for the infotainment system. Plenty of storage there for you as well. Of course, you have the cup holders in the middle on either side as well of the doors to put some storage there for you as well. And of course, the materials that they've used here aren't exactly cheap. You can see there the finish on them is absolutely great. They have a real good feeling to them. And then of course, even just the likes of this door handle, not a simple door handle, It's the small things like that really count and make this car really stand out from its competition and make it feel quite prestige. Even the seats themselves, you can see in this particular model, of course, it says GT line finish there. It's small things like that which really add up. Now, what some manufacturers tend to do these days is sort of cut corners, but Kia hasn't really done that. When it comes to upgrading their cars, they really cut no corners, and even small things such as the indicator stalks or the wiper stalks there, all the materials feel very good indeed. Now, of course, you get USB charging down there with the 12-volt charger as well, and this infotainment system is very good. There's a good integration, of course, of physical buttons and these sort of touchscreen haptic feedback buttons as well. You can use that to change how obviously the climate control is, but of course, if you don't want to, you can use the physical knobs there in the middle as well. And of course, everything is quick and easy to use. Nothing lags and everything is there for when you need it. Overall, then, the quality up front here is very good. Even when it comes to this steering wheel, it's finished very, very nicely with, of course, the new Kia branding there, with the infotainment sort of selections on the left, and then of course the more driver focused sections on the right. The one thing I want to point out is these lovely designed vents here. They sort of imitate the boomerang styled LED headlights at the front and just seem quite cool to have, I would say. And of course, if you move on to the center console, of course, the storage bin there for you in the center console, and it has a nice gloss finish to it as well, I must say. You can also go ahead and use the wireless phone charger there if you want towards the top of the center console. I mean, overall, all in all, a great, really well designed interior from Kia. At the back then, of course, it's very practical, as you would expect that this is of course a family SUV. Now, one thing to point out, like I said at the front, Kia has cut no corners here. Everything feels very good and prestige. The finish of the leather, the stitching you have on the side here and the front of these seats, it's all very nice. Now, a couple of things I want to point out is, of course, these USB chargers you see at the front here. Instead of placing them at the back of the center console, Kia have sort of designed them to be in the back of the front seats, which is again something quite creative, I would say. You of course then get a couple of hooks here for you to hang your shopping or some coats. A nice place here to perhaps hang your coat as well. And one thing I want to point out is that these rear seats do in fact recline a little bit as well. So you go ahead and press that handle on the side, you can adjust it to how you like. It's very, very nice indeed. Now, of course, these seats are in their normal position as they would be if you were driving and have a front passenger. And I've got plenty of knee room here as well, and of course headroom as well. I'm about 5'10" and I've got plenty of room here, even with this lovely sunroof in here as well. Apart from that, you of course also get the rear climate control settings as well. And if we go ahead and open this up in the middle, you have some extra cup holders here as well. But then of course you can, if you want, put some bottles down here in the sides of each doors as well. When it comes to what's under the bonnet, the new Sportage has a wide range you can choose from for your liking in particular. The gearbox comes in a 6-speed manual or 7-speed automatic gearbox. It will be available as a plug-in hybrid which has a 1.6 litre petrol engine which works alongside an electric motor. It will produce around 261 brake horsepower. There will also be a regular hybrid model which again has that 1.6 litre petrol engine and an electric motor working alongside it, which gives us a combined power output of around 227 brake horsepower. Now, you can also opt to go for a 1.6 litre petrol engine on its own, which forms about 148 or 178 brake horsepower, which each of those versions also benefiting from Kia's mild hybrid technology as well. There is also a 1.6 litre diesel engine available as well with 113 brake horsepower or 134. There won't be a fully electric version of the Sportage, but again, if you would like a fully electric Kia, perhaps the e-Niro, Soul EV, or even of course the Kia EV6 would suit you better. So let's go ahead and go for a quick drive around town in the new Sportage. Now of course I've got the key in my pocket, so I go ahead and press that button on the door, the mirrors open up and the car opened for me. Again, it feels very, very prestige in here indeed. Foot on the brake, the start-stop button there in the middle on the center console, nicely positioned. Again, when the car starts up using that Kia hybrid technology, very, very quiet indeed. So let's go ahead and put it into drive. The release for the handbrake is down there, but of course when you put it into drive, the car senses and it sort of does the automatic handbrake for you. So we'll have a quick drive into Chiswick. We go and we'll take a left out of here and then perhaps go towards the motorway for a couple junctions and see how the car is. Right now I'm currently in eco mode. You can go ahead and change the driving mode down there, put it into sport like that. Obviously that sharpens everything up a little bit. This car, obviously not being a performance car or anything of that sort, it is a big sort of family SUV, but that just lets you have a bit of fun there if you need, or if you want to overtake quickly on the motorway, you can go ahead and do that. Again, one thing I like, you get this in the Kia EV6 as well. Again, if you haven't seen our review on that or our point of view driving video, be sure to click that pop-up banner on the right now. You can see that when you indicate, I'm sure it has sort of cameras under the door handles. I'm sure it gives you a nice blind spot indication there right in front of you. So obviously you can still do your shoulder check, which you should practice obviously good driving methods and whatnot, but of course just makes your driving experience that little bit easier, I would say. The touchscreen is quite sensitive as well. It's not laggy or anything like that. Everything is quite easy to use and it's all very much there in your fingertips. Again, like I said before, this integration down here, the sort of touchscreen haptic feedback sort of area is very, very nice indeed. Go ahead and actually turn that heating down as it's getting quite toasty in here. One thing I quite like as well about the digital driver's display, it's not just simple, it's a bit different than what you get in other cars, you know, customizable and whatnot. Just, again, makes your driving experience better. It makes you want to drive the car rather than it being a bit of a chore. And this car being quite big as well, I have to say visibility is very, very nice. These pillars here are quite small, so you don't have to faff around there. Of course you get these smaller sort of glass piece down here as well, which is very nice, just behind the wing mirrors. The wing mirrors themselves not too big, not too in your way, just perfectly positioned there. Of course you also get the blind spot monitoring tool as well, the little triangle there with the exclamation mark will light up orange, and of course the car will beep at you if someone is in your blind spot, and you do have the indicator on to change lane. And we will go ahead and actually attempt to do a U-turn from here, and let's see how good this car is at turning. It's quite a big car, mini roundabout here in West London, just like that, no problem at all. The steering actually goes, almost feels it goes lighter when it senses you're doing a big maneuver of sort. I feel like the steering kind of went lighter there, so it assisted you in a way. That was very, very easily done indeed. And the gearbox is very nice, I must say as well. It seamlessly transitions through all the gears very, very nicely. It almost seems like a continuous electric acceleration, if you will, but of course this is not a fully electric car. Steering wheel itself is very nicely designed, I must say. Has a good feel to it. Not too big, not too small. So let's squeeze through that gap there. Of course it's been flat from the bottom, which is very, very nice, doesn't get in the way of your knees. Let's see if we went over that horrible pothole there, but it wasn't too bad. Sort of quite cushioned. You see I'm still in eco mode, but it gets to 40 miles an hour in no time at all. No struggle really. And one thing I really like is the engine wasn't screaming at me. In some cars these days, unfortunately, even with the hybrid sort of system, when you put your foot down to get to speed, whether you're on a dual carriageway or on a motorway, the car screams at you for some reason. But this car working very, very well there, seamlessly transitioning there and gaining to 40 miles an hour in no time at all. Again, that sort of blind spot monitoring tool there, very, very handy indeed. If you indicate your speed there, you can still see it on the top as well, and it's a very clear camera, I must say. Everything is really high quality. You just haven't sort of been cheap Kia here. Everything is very, very high quality indeed. You see the quality of that camera is very, very good indeed. Nothing cheap about this car, I must say. It all feels very, very nice and prestige. Even the steering wheel itself, if you can hear that, it just feels so nice. It's almost so nice you don't want to touch anything in case you make it too dirty. But of course, this is a demo car and this is what we do. We try it out and we show you how the car is. But of course, feel free to come along. Don't just take my word for it. Come on down to GWR Kia and see this car for yourself. So let's get out of this traffic, and once we're towards the motorway, we'll pick up again from there. So here we are then. Just got on the motorway there from the Brentford entry. Now straight away, I must say, I'm not having to shout to talk, you know. The cabin in here is very, very quiet indeed. You can see there the technology coming into place. With the car next to me there, the Sportage senses it and informs me of my blind spot information. Right now we're just cruising in eco mode. You can see, okay, you put it in sport, and straight away when you do put it in sport, the car sort of begins to accelerate a bit more. So you definitely notice that straight away. Of course, I'm still using the built-in navigation there in the new Kia Sportage, which is very, very good indeed. You do get some navigations these days which are still unfortunately not that great, but you can see here this is very, very easy to use. You have your steps here on the right from bottom to top of where you're sort of going to and where you're gaining there on the bottom there. You can see my red arrow there in the circle of where I am in this process of the map. It's very, very easy information indeed. Let's see if we can go ahead and activate the cruise control. So I believe there, if I turn it on, cruising at 39 mile an hour, it senses how far that car is in front of me. You see, I've set it there. It says there nav, so I believe what that means is it's sensing from the navigation that the speed limit here is about 40, and then it goes ahead and does 40 for me. And then obviously if I put my foot on the accelerator, as we are now getting to a national speed limit, you can go ahead and cancel that out as well. So you just put on the lane assist for me as well, so the car will slightly adjust itself when you are in the lanes. You can see there the car is keeping on that turn. Don't want to take my hands off too much, but it is steering itself. Of course there it gives me the warning and telling me to keep my hands on the steering wheel. A very, very comfortable drive indeed, I must say. Seamlessly here, cruising at 60 or so mile an hour. If we go ahead and switch lane, let's try and turn that cruise control back on again. You can see just with the flick of one arrow and they're sort of beeping at me again as well, it knows that the speed limit is currently 70 mile an hour on this particular stretch of the motorway on this road here, so it goes ahead and accelerates for me to that. Of course, it's warning me to keep my hands on the steering wheel. Of course, not fully automated, but just assisted. You can see there it's sensing that the car in front of me, I'm accelerating and is getting too close, so it just decelerates a little by itself as well, which is very, very handy. Still set to, of course, a 70 mile an hour cruise, but of course if it sees that the car in front is too close, it will go ahead and apply the brakes as needed. Now of course the speed limit has dropped to 50 there, as you saw, and the car senses that, so safely now decelerating to 50 mile an hour, which is very, very handy. We'll go ahead and just turn that off and take manual control, full manual control. There you see with the green light on, the assisted steering wheel is activated, but of course with it off you have full control by yourself. See there, it's telling us to turn off in just a mile, which we will go ahead and do so. So after this van goes, I'm going to go ahead and slot in behind them as the junction is approaching soon. Set the cruise control once again to 50, and that's another thing as well, it's showing you on the motorway with a nice little graphic of where you're actually getting off, which again, if you're in an area which you're not too familiar with, can come in quite handy indeed. That's something which is very, very handy, I must say, that little graphic there that was on the screen. We are of course still cruising in eco mode, but when we do get back on the motorway heading back towards GWR Kia, I'll go ahead and put it in a sport mode and see how the acceleration copes. As we nearly witnessed an accident there. The joys of London, that is. You see as well, the way the vents are designed here, just that little, obviously it sort of mimics the boomerang shape like I mentioned before of the daytime running lights, but it's actually quite functional as well, rather than it just being a normal sort of vent there, quite small. You tend to see in most cars that gets blocked by either your hand or the steering wheel itself when you're driving, of course in a 9 o'clock position on the steering wheel. But of course with it being sort of raised like that, it sort of comes over a bit on the steering wheel and allows you to feel the air, which is very, very nice indeed. You see there again, it sensed that BMW there just cutting me off there in front, but safely kept a good amount of distance. See there, I put my signal on as that Qashqai there was approaching in my rear. Of course I wasn't going to turn, it was just telling me and beeping at me, of course, to let me know that there was a car there approaching. Even though it wasn't exactly in my blind spot, I saw it in the mirror there towards the left, it still just let me know, which is of course very, very handy indeed. And we'll go ahead and turn, just slot in behind this red Qashqai. So there we have it then, the all-new 5th generation Kia Sportage. Let us know down in the comments below what you think of this car and what you think of Kia's range as a whole. Of course, we have the Kia Niro coming soon as well, so that would be quite interesting to see how that car performs. But please be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to our channel for new content. As always, thank you for watching.